In a political surprise this past week, local Democratic Congressman Ted Deutsch announced he will not run for re-election in the 22nd district this fall. It's considered a safe Democratic seat, but after a dozen years in Congress, Deutsch has a new job waiting. Our Michael Williams talked to the congressman shortly after the announcement was made.
Congressman Ted Deutsch calls it his life's work.
Defending the global Jewish community, standing up for Israel's rightful place in the world, defending democratic values.
The website of his new employer this fall tells the story. Deutsch will become CEO of the American Jewish Committee, an advocacy group with worldwide reach.
I mean, this is who I am. It's what I care about.
His congressional resume included chairing the House Foreign Affairs Subcommittee on the Middle East, North Africa, and global counterterrorism. A new job now, but familiar challenges.
The threats to the Jewish community and the rise of anti-Semitism are real, and AJC plays a really critical role in pushing back and defending the Jewish community, both here and around the world.
Iran's resurgent nuclear weapons ambitions will be a key focus for Deutsch.
Iran is an issue that I've worked on, trying to prevent Iran from having nuclear weapons.
By one count, the congressman is one of 31 Democratic House members who said he will not seek re-election this fall, even though he's in a safe district. Republicans are gleeful and say Democrats, in general, are on the run ahead of midterms. What do you say to that critique? What do you say to the GOP response today?
Well, listen, this seat is going to be held by a Democrat after I leave it, but I'm not running away from Congress. That's not something I would ever do. I'm running, if that's the term, I'm running to something else.
I asked Deutsch about his legacy in Congress, and he reflected on his work on behalf of those fighting for change after the massacre that killed 17 people at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School.
I stood up for the families, the survivors, the young people who built a political movement coming out of Parkland. That's what it means to be a representative.
Congressman Deutsch will head to his new post October 1st, allowing him to finish his term ahead of the midterm elections recess. And now for our roundtable with our News Channel 5 political analyst, Brian Crowley. Brian, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Hi there.
And first, let's start off with this reaction to Congressman Ted Deutsch not seeking re-election. Did you see this coming?
No, I sure didn't see it coming, and it's a big loss for that district. He was very popular in that district. He's a very thoughtful, passionate man. When the Parkland shooting happened, you could see where it broke his heart, and he did all he could to help out. He was also a kind of guy who really longed to work in a bipartisan way. It was often very difficult for him to do that because of the nature of our politics. But, his heart was always in the right place, and he's going to be missed in that district.
And he's not the only one. With Deutsch's announcement, he is the 31st Democratic congressperson, including one other from Florida, to announce they won't run again in the midterms. So far, only 13 Republicans have announced their intentions not to run. What do you take from that?
Well, we're actually losing 4 Democratic seats in Florida because Charlie Crist is running for governor, the congressman from the Tampa Bay area, and Val Demings is running against Marco Rubio for the U.S. Senate seat. So we're actually losing 4 Democratic seats in Florida. Last week, the legislature passed its version of the congressional redistricting map. The Governor DeSantis wasn't entirely happy with it, and he has threatened to veto it. So we don't know exactly how the district's going to look, but the odds are that the Republicans in Florida will pick up a couple more seats, and there'll also be one brand new seat due to the census. So Republicans will continue to have a very strong hold on Florida's congressional delegation.
What is the impact of that for us for key issues here in Florida? What do you think?
Well, the fact of the matter is that Florida has become a very red state. For the first time in modern history, Florida has more Republican voters than Democratic voters. That happened starting in November. So the issues that Republicans feel dear about, whether it's on local government level in Tallahassee or in D.C., where they're likely to take over at least the House, a lot of their conservative issues are going to win the day.
Absolutely. And, we heard our first guest talk about the affordable housing and our housing market crisis right now. What do you think our lawmakers here in the state should be doing in Tallahassee?
Well, I think they should be spending more time carefully addressing the issue. The governor will talk about a lot of issues that don't necessarily have a direct impact on Florida voters. But when you look at housing, and you can just limit it to Palm Beach County and the Treasure Coast, it's getting very, very difficult for workers, policemen, firemen, nurses, service workers to find an affordable place to live. And the legislature and the governor need to grab that issue and run with it.
Well, and you have so many people, as we mentioned earlier, moving to Florida. We have a lot of Floridians leaving the state, so that could create a big shift politically as well.
Sure, but it seems so far, though, that much of that movement to the state is among conservatives. There's been a very strong sales pitch among conservative politicians that you should move to Florida, as Governor DeSantis likes to say, the free state of Florida, and that's appealing to a lot of people.
It's help with tourism, right?
Sure, and the fact of the matter is we have among the lowest taxes of any state in the country, which has always been an appeal to people coming to Florida, but that's also been part of the big sales pitch, and I think the voters that are coming tend to be more conservative than we used to have in the past.
And the last day of the legislative session is coming up this week. This past week, state lawmakers readied the so-called Don't Say Gay bill for a final vote, got closer to cutting incentives for solar customers, and passed the 15-week abortion ban. With just a few days left, what should we expect?
Well, the biggest thing they have to do over the next few days will be solidifying the budget. There's still some disagreement between the House and the Senate over the budget. There are certain things in the budget that the governor wants dearly, but the biggest things that the legislature wanted to accomplish were the abortion bill, the Don't Say Gay bill as it's been categorized, and a few other social agenda bills. And based on those things alone, they're going to see this as a big success.
Now, on Tuesday, it's Election Day in Palm Beach County, one of the races for the special election for Florida House District 88. The winner will succeed Omari Hardy, and the election comes with only just a few days left of the session. What will the winner be able to accomplish?
Nothing.
Simple answer.
What the winner can accomplish is preparing themselves for the November election when they have to come up on the ballot again. There's no time left in the session, even if the legislature wanted to be generous enough to hold things up until they arrive. They're not going to do that. Where they may have an impact, though, is if they have to redo congressional redistricting, they'll have to have a special session in the spring. And there may be other issues that require a special session. So there's potential that there'll be some special session activity. But again, a Democrat, you're not going to have much impact in Tallahassee.
And there are 4 other mayor races that we reported on just this past week. The ones in Jupiter, Boynton Beach specifically, are getting a lot of attention. What is the importance of those municipal races? Well,
they're interesting races in that both, in Boynton Beach, which in some ways has always struggled with being kind of the stepchild of the Boca del Rey area. They've had the recent, controversy over the biker, the young lad that was died as a result of a police chase on his dirt bike. There's also development that's important to Boynton, and affordable housing. In Jupiter, they talk a lot about how they want to hold on to their small town feel. Well, as somebody who remembers when Indiantown Road was a 2-lane road, the idea of holding on to their small town feel, it's gone. That's over. So. But it's important for them to, have mayors who know how to guide the city into the future.
Absolutely. Anything else top of mind for you this week?
Well, I think that one of the things that was interesting this week was that, when Governor DeSantis challenged those high school students at USF.
Oh, yep.
I mean, it made the network news. It was this huge thing. Zeth Meyer did a whole thing about it on the Zeth Meyer show.
What was your impression of that?
I thought he sounded, as he often does, very petulant. It was an unnecessary thing to do. These high school kids probably felt thrilled that they were going to have the chance to stand there and meet the governor.
They were, I'm sure, hand-selected to stand up there.
And instead, they get this sort of weird moment with the governor who then, when he's done talking, just walks out and doesn't even turn around and talk to them.
Do you think he softened his tone at the end there a little bit and said, well, you can wear them if you want, when he talks about the masks?
No, I don't think he was softening his tone at all. And then right after that, he sent out a fundraising letter based on his mask mandate and what he did with those kids. So he obviously thought it was a success for his campaign.
Well, the video sure went viral. Everyone's talking about it.
It sure did. It was fair. I mean, it's the kind of thing where a lot of parents, whether they agree or disagree on the mask thing, don't treat my child that way.
Right.
I think a lot of parents would react that way. I've been watching governors in Florida since Bob Graham, and I've never seen a governor act like that around kids.
Interesting, definitely. And a lot of people were talking about it, but we'll have much more and we'll be right back in a moment. So don't go anywhere. Brian Crowley sticking around with us.